Winter baby wearing. This is definitely a topic a lot of you requested me to talk about, and I'm sharing some tips in this video. Talk about carries you can use, different materials, baby wearing jackets, covers and other solutions. Focused on both smaller babies and toddlers, of course, who want to run away and play outside too. So let's get into it. I think one of the most important things to point out is that there's also a risk of overheating your baby when you dress your baby very hot. I think I should also point out that there's a risk of overheating your baby when you're dressing them too hot, layering up all the fabric over your baby and then putting a coat on. If you want to monitor their temperature, it's a good idea to measure it in their neck because you will notice when they are sweating or not. In general, I would say a wrap or a carrier counts as one layer of fabric if it's not as cold, but cover the extremities. So use a hat, gloves and booties if it's really cold outside. I want to start by talking about carries because of course you can spread the carrier you are using. If you're using a stretchy wrap, you would probably already have 2 or 3 layers of fabric over the baby. If you are using a woven wrap in a front carry, you can also spread the carry to add an additional layer onto your baby. When you are using a stretchy wrap, you will probably have already 3 layers of fabric covering your baby and helping to keep your baby warm. This is a stretchy wrap with wool. Wool is actually temperature regulating, so great for higher and lower temperatures. If you want to keep the feet warm and add a layer over the feet, first pull the layer up and then bring it over the feet, but make sure there's enough space and you're not putting extra tension on these tiny feet. Especially when it's a smaller baby, you don't want it to be pulling up. So really make sure to keep it wide and then just use it to cover the feet to keep them warm. You can also use the tails to do the same. Again, make sure you're not putting any tension on it. So I will put a double knot in the back first. So these tails don't need to be really tight anymore. And I could just go around over the feet because most stretchy wraps are pretty long. So you will have enough fabric to go around and then tie a loose knot. Not putting any extra tension on those feet, but covering them to keep them warm. I want to show you one more carry because you can pre-tie it when you're at home. Then drive your car to the forest and not having to tie the wrap outside of the car in the mud. I start with the middle marker at the back. I will flip the shoulder, bring the fabric around, and I go around here at the side to leave it without a knot. And then right here, I twist the fabric and flip the shoulder too, and I do the same. My child, who is dressed for winter time with their winter boots, ready to go outside, will go just on top of my sweater. And I start with both legs in, but I will move the top layer over both legs. So it came from here, but I just make sure it goes over both. And then I start by pulling up this inner layer, which I flipped. So I'm trying to find the flipped side right here. and then spread the fabric over my child's back. I bring the fabric to my shoulder to tighten it around the side, and I will just pull up the fabric between me and my child a little bit to create a nice seat. I hold on to my baby and pull the fabric right here to get it tight. Try to get both shoulders in. Now I have the other layer to spread. Again, flipping the fabric. And I bring it towards my shoulder and pull it on this side. Of course, if your wrap is really long, you should take the tails and tie a knot. But this is a great carry to do with a wrap that is a little bit shorter. I prefer using a size 5. And as you can see, it doesn't have any knots at all. If you want to take your baby out, pull this layer up and pull the other one down, and then they can go and run and play. You can leave this carry on when you're at the playground chasing after your toddler, and then put them back in afterwards. So now I've mentioned how to spread the passes when you are using a woven wrap and how to cover the feet when you are using a stretchy. I think it's important to talk about dressing your baby for the cold, layering up yourself and layering up on your baby. There's one main thing to consider before heading out. Will your baby go out of the carrier whilst outside, or will it stay in the wrap or carrier all the time? So if you are wearing a toddler that wants to go out and run and play and then go up in the carrier, or you already know that once you get to the playground your baby will go out of the carrier and play, then your baby needs to be dressed for the cold outside of the carrier. Or if you know that your baby will be staying inside the wrap or carrier, you will both have to match your style and layer up together. One thing I want to point out before covering the baby wearing jackets more extensively is the use of snowsuits, those padded suits that you put your baby on, or bulky snow jackets, or even this bulky jacket that you are wearing yourself. So actually how they keep your baby warm is with the layers in between that have little pockets of air that insulate your baby or yourself when you're wearing a bulky jacket. And what happens when you are wearing your baby is that those layers of course get compressed, so they cannot insulate your baby anymore. Using those bulky snow suits either on yourself or your baby won't keep them warm. So great for outside play, not great for baby wearing. Instead, you can layer up with wool, add a hat to it. If you want to make it weatherproof, you can add an outside soft shell layer, but nothing that's bulky and needs the air to keep your baby warm. So let's start with how to dress your smaller baby for the cold. A baby that doesn't go out of the carrier once outside, so you can dress yourself and your baby together to conquer the cold. I've brought a few options of baby wearing jackets. Basically, a baby wearing jacket is a jacket that comes with different inserts. Usually they have one insert to use it during pregnancy and either one or two different inserts to use it when you are wearing your baby. Some of them can only be used in a front carry and others can also be used in a back carry. In that case, they mostly have a zipper in the back where you can insert the baby wearing insert. You have the more sporty style jackets in soft shell fabric, or the classical ones with wool. And this one is actually padded for winter time. And this is one that doesn't have a separate insert, but it just has two zippers. So either you use this one when you are using it with your baby, or the second one once you use it without your baby. And this one is not made to be worn in the rain, but great to layer up when it gets a little bit colder. What kind of style you need or want is probably up to yourself. Do you need a padded one because it really gets cold, or just stick with a more sporty soft shell? I now live in the Netherlands where we don't get really cold winters, but it gets windy and rainy. So for my winters, the soft shell usually is fine. If it gets colder, I can always add a layer underneath. If you are using a baby wearing jacket, this one counts as an extra layer over your baby, because you will be covering your baby with your coat. So your baby will be underneath your coat, covered for the weather. This one has a zipper in the back, so you could also use it with the back carry, or use the zipper in the front and add the baby wearing insert. A baby wearing jacket is not made to carry your baby. It's made to be covering your baby when you are baby wearing. Of course, the head is going outside of the jacket. But this means that you need to pick either a carrier or a wrap to use underneath the baby wearing jacket. The great thing about using a baby wearing jacket is that once you go out, your baby will be covered and protected from the cold weather. Once you get in, you can easily take your jacket off and your baby can stay in the wrap or carrier if it's asleep. So you don't need to undress your baby because suddenly inside it will be too warm for them. Maybe you need to take the hat off if it's really warm inside and you have a sweaty baby. But otherwise, just take your jacket off and they will be fine. So if you're going out Christmas shopping and you go inside a store, open up your zipper a little bit or completely to avoid overheating your baby. A baby wearing jacket mostly is not very convenient when you are wearing on your side. There are a few styles that make it possible to wear on your hip too, but most of them have insert for a front carry and a back carry, or only a front carry. If you are wearing your baby underneath the baby wearing jacket, just dress them for the same temperatures that you would dress them for inside. So maybe adding some extra booties or socks on their feet. If it's really cold, you can also consider to put some gloves on, but usually that's not really necessary. Is a baby wearing coat necessary? I've done 3 years of baby wearing without one. I never really felt like I was missing out on something. Personally, I'm a big fan of wearing wool, layering up. And we lived in snowy Germany, so it was not like it's never cold outside, but just layering up, both of us worked fine for me. Most baby wearing jackets are quite expensive, but they last a very long time. You can also consider buying one second hand. They keep their value pretty well, so buying one that's already pre-loved might be helpful, or consider getting it already during your pregnancy to get most out of the use of the baby wearing jacket. If you don't want to invest into a baby wearing jacket, or your baby is being worn by 2 or more caregivers with different sizes, a baby wearing cover might be a better option. The baby wearing cover fits all sizes of people, where if you are buying a baby wearing jacket, of course you will buy the size that you are wearing, or a size close to it, and then it will be hard to share it with someone that's either much taller or much smaller than you are. Baby wearing covers again come in many different styles. This one is a soft shell cover, but mainly the principle is the same. So it's some kind of pouch that you use to cover your baby and the carrier or wrap, and then it has straps that you can attach to keep the cover on. Most of them adjust with a drawstring at the bottom to keep the air out, and often they have pockets in the front to keep your hands warm. There are also wool covers available, but again it's the same principle of having one cover that goes over the baby and the carrier, and either crossing the straps or going around and tying them. I'm a big fan of elephant hoods because they cover the neck and chest also. You can see how it will keep the baby nice and warm around this area where the air could get in between you and your baby. And the great thing about an elephant hood is that they usually don't take it off themselves. Even when you are moving your baby into a back carry, they don't get twisted or taken off. It's just something that you cannot put on your baby once it already is in the back carry. Then you would need help, so put it on before. And once they go up in the carrier or wrap, consider that your own clothing shouldn't be too slippery. Or if you're wearing a bulky suit, once it gets compressed, especially right here, it will get colder. So I also love layering up myself in wool. The convenient thing about most wool is that it's more grippy than wearing other styles of coats or jackets, so it's easier to tie a wrap over it. A turtleneck is great because it won't be in the way for your baby, especially once you are doing a back carry and you have a hood. They often get in the way, and with a turtleneck you won't get cold. There are also baby wearing turtlenecks available, scarves that keep yourself warm when baby wearing, and some kind of scarves that keep yourself and the baby warm. So a double scarf. If you are planning to wear your toddler or not sure that you will be wearing your toddler, you can also bring your ring sling along as a huge scarf. Of course, there's many more styles that you can tie your ring sling in to wear it as a scarf. There are great tutorials everywhere on how to tie your scarf, but in this way you will have your carrier with you, prepared to wear your toddler, but not in the way. You don't need to stuff it into your pocket, and it will keep you warm even when you're not wearing your child. So I've tried to go through a few options how to wear your baby in the winter time or when it gets cold. One important thing to mention is also the shoes you are wearing. Once it gets slippery outside, you can add some spikes to avoid falling, because especially when you're baby wearing, you don't want to be slipping and falling with your baby. So keep safe and keep yourself warm.